What's up, guys? It's that ERIC. I am the People's co-host, Eric Barnes, and this is The Late Debates. As per usual, I am being joined by the extreme icon, Mike Nagel.
Let's raise the roof up in this bitch.
We're going to raise the shit out of it, bro. And Mr. Entertainment himself, Noah Donish.
Let's just be clear for a second. The reason why Mike is talking about raising roofs and acting all gangsta hip, we were just talking about rioting after sports team championships. So literally, we're talking about people raising the roof so they can steal 50 pairs of Air Jordans to sell.
You didn't raise the roof. You had your hands up like the cops are about to arrest you or shoot you.
That too.
This is raising the roof. You were like in Airheads.
Yeah. Did Booker T not teach you anything about how to raise the roof, Noah?
No, I learned I learned jack fucking shit from Booker T.
You learned how to rob a Wendy's.
I gotta say, I feel like shit, I look like shit, and I have to take a shit, but I'm still here.
You don't need to announce that you look like shit. We can all tell with your little French mustache goatee bullshit thing you got going on.
Don't even get me started. I look like a lawn gnome right now.
You look like a homeless guy who got handed a fedora.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There's nothing wrong with looking like a homeless fedora man. That's a homeless hipster. That's like the look now.
Homeless hipster? Okay, I'll keep telling myself that.
It's funny because there's a street in Cleveland where I live. It's called Coventry, and all you see is fucking hipsters, and they all wear that same exact hat, except they have nicer looking beards, but they smell really bad.
Hey, at least I smell good.
You gotta love that hipster smell.
I take a lot of pride in that.
They go into all the Goodwills and shit I go into, and all the thrift stores and the toy stores and stuff, and just makes me not want to work some days.
I hear you.
Hey, at least it's not like people that we mutually are acquaintances of that don't want to work every day.
Who, Aaron?
But attend LA Rams preseason games instead.
And break a lot of toilets, according to your guys' stories.
True.
Anyway, all right. So today's topic, we're going to talk about Stone Cold Steve Austin, and we actually had two.
What?
We actually had two topics from Stone Cold Steve Austin. What if this first one's from Vernon?
No, you gotta say what if.
The first one's from Vernon Kazma. I think that's how you say it. Kazama, abracadabra. I don't know. What if Steve Austin never turned heel at WrestleMania X7? And then Interstate Kyle, what if Stone Cold never walked out on WWE in 2002?
What if Stone Cold Steve Austin never walked out of WWE in 2002?
So I guess we'll just go in chronological order. So first, what if Steve Austin never turned heel at WrestleMania X7? He was facing The Rock, and at the end of that match decided, hey, I'm going to join up with Vince McMahon. What do you think about that, Noah?
And eat a lot of what a burger.
What? You know, I think that it would have been much better to have him stay as a baby. Like, when you talk about pro wrestling, when you boil down pro wrestling to its base, it's villains against heroes. Heroes versus villains. And WrestleMania 17 marked the end of Rock's, quote, Attitude Era run. He left, he started his career in Hollywood, and arguably the biggest babyface in the company at the time was gone. And I think that Stone Cold Steve Austin, who, let's be honest here, Stone Cold Steve Austin had a pretty damn short run as the company's top babyface. It wasn't that long at all. And his potential could have been way high. Like, it could have easily led him to he could have been a perpetual babyface from 1997 till he retired in 2003. And I feel that Steve Austin was a personification of the WWF. And I think what WWF was really trying to do and was hoping to recreate magic-wise was when they started this whole Alliance angle. Alliance was like WWF's answer for like the NWO. It was like the us versus them, and they were trying to, in a way, recapture the magic of Hulk Hogan turning heel and basically turning his back on the fans. But I think what would have been a much better route to go, have Steve Austin be the guy that kicks the shit out of the Alliance and be the leader. And I think that would have been a great... And granted, The Rock came back before the end of the... He was at Survivor Series. He was in the main event elimination match. And yeah, that's all well and good. But I personally would have liked that route better. Have Steve Austin be your top babyface and then have Alliance guys actually be WCW guys. Gee, what a novel idea.
Well, the WCW guys that they brought in were not exactly, besides, save maybe Booker T and a couple of others, were not exactly the top WCW guys. So maybe, obviously, they thought, we need to put somebody strong with the Alliance so that they look like a credible threat to the WWF. But it just never really made any type of sense why Stone Cold, who harbored ill will towards WCW and Eric Bischoff and everything, why he would jump ship to now become the leader of the Alliance. That never made sense to me.
No, not at all. It was not... It goes back to Vince McMahon's ideology towards pro wrestling fans. He genuinely feels that wrestling fans forget what happened 3 weeks ago. And they tend to rewrite history. They tend to ignore a lot of things. And for the true passionate wrestling fans like us, it's irritating. It's irritating. But.
And let's make no mistake about it. Everybody is pretty much in agreement that Stone Cold turning heel at WrestleMania 17 was a bad decision. Stone Cold will tell you that.
I don't think it was a bad decision.
Well, what do you think about it, Mike?
Okay, so Stone Cold has mentioned a number of times if he could go back and change anything, he would align himself with Vince and then stunner him after he won the title, and then go back to being a heel. And honestly, I think him becoming a heel showed a depth of range in his character that you can't see otherwise with him being a babyface. I think his heel run was way more enjoyable than the last part of his face run. Him doing the stupid stuff with Deborah and Kurt Angle and Vince. I thought it was really entertaining, and I really liked it. The part where I have a problem is when the Alliance comes in and Steve Austin is being asked to turn back to the old Steve Austin. He gets a gigantic monster pop when he comes back from the friendly tap and beats the shit out of everybody. And then they do the old Rock thing where he got kicked out of the Nation and was face for a few weeks and then joined the Corporation at Survivor Series. They did the same fucking thing with Steve Austin. They had him fucking be a babyface for a little while, kick the shit out of the Alliance, and then join them. And then the whole Alliance thing, I mean, it was really played out. I did not like Steve Austin in the Alliance at all.
They changed his music. That really irritated me.
They made him a bitch, too. Like a real bitch. I know he was a bitch when he was Mr. McMahon's champion and everything, but that was funny because of the segments and everything. The segments with him in the Alliance weren't funny.
Yeah, no.
It wasn't entertaining. Like, the 30-minute promos were god-awful. And, like, I think they should have ended the heel run right there when the Alliance came in, and he came in and whooped everybody's ass, and I think that's when Stone Cold should have been back to being Stone Cold.
Yeah, and that would have been a solid little heel run, him and Vince. And I completely agree with you on that. That's a tremendous route that they could have gone.
It definitely did broaden his character to a point where he was able to incorporate comedy in a way that if he was just trying to stick to the face, badass, mean, Stone Cold, Steve Austin, I don't think he would have ever, been backstage singing fucking Kumbaya. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought that shit was hilarious. And I don't care what anybody else thinks. I thought that was the most entertaining part of that whole deal was him in the non-wrestling role with Kurt Angle. I think him and Kurt Angle played off each other fucking perfect.
Yeah, that was a perfect example of a kind of a strange bedfellows that just worked out really, really well.
True.
It was. I thought it was great. And then you had Deborah being all weird because Steve was being like how I guess he was in real life with her, being controlling and crazy. And I thought it made for good TV. I'm sorry if people don't agree with me about the whole heel thing. I loved it until the Alliance thing happened.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, basically, what if he hadn't turned heel? I guess maybe his character wouldn't have been as broad. It's kind of hard to say, you know. I mean, sure, he still could have feuded with Kurt Angle, but I don't know. I mean, I agree. I kind of liked what that part of it that came out of it.
Honestly, because there were no strong like leaders in the alliance. I mean, basically, that whole feud he had with Booker T after the alliance thing was over would have been pushed up, and I don't know if it would have gotten over as well as it did, because there really wasn't anybody strong in the alliance for Steve Austin to feud with.
No, not at all.
RVD wasn't being built up yet. And I mean, you had all the jobbers from WCW, you had all the ECW guys who weren't really up in the upper echelon. So I don't know if it would have worked if Steve Austin wasn't the leader of the alliance. I just know I hated it.
Yeah, and I don't think that you're alone in that. So, okay, so let's jump ahead a year, a little more than a year. Stone Cold leaves, June 2002, doesn't want to lose to Brock. What,
Not true. Not true.
Not that he didn't want to lose to Brock. It was that he wanted a better build-up to lose to Brock. He didn't want to do it for free on a Monday night. Yeah.
Right. Just like a throwaway match with no build-up, no nothing, and it was a King of the Ring qualifying match, not even a King of the Ring tournament match.
Yes, that really. But I mean, it really made Steve Austin feel like he was not worth anything.
Well, consider it. He was in the main event of WrestleMania 17. By WrestleMania 18, he's fighting Scott Hall nowhere near the main event.
Yeah.
And then a few months later, hey, let's just, without any build-up, have you lose to Brock Lesnar in a King of the Ring qualifier.
His frustration almost mirrors the frustration that CM Punk had.
Yeah, the only difference is CM Punk had a better lawyer and didn't lose any royalties.
Exactly. But, you know, I think that Steve Austin, in a way, he needed, and I'm not condoning the way in which he did it, because when you break it down, he did walk out on the fans. And he walked out on the fans in a time where the company was really kind of hurting for real star power, and we weren't ready to say goodbye to Stone Cold Steve Austin. And his career was winding down, and we were on borrowed time in terms of how many more matches we could have with him. And what's frustrating as fuck to me is not only the fact that he walked out, but how they brought him back. And how they brought him back really makes Austin seem like a hypocrite that he'd agree to come back under these terms. And granted, he obviously went over, but to come back feuding with Eric Bischoff, it was a really disappointing return. And seeing Eric Bischoff come out in that ridiculous karate outfit, like doing the fucking kung fu, whatever the fuck it was ridiculous to watch. I didn't enjoy it, and honestly, I think Austin needed a break. I think that given everything that Steve Austin has brought to the table, done for the company, I think Vince really got complacent with Steve and felt that he could just treat him as if he treated anybody else on the roster, like it's my way or the highway. And with someone like a Steve Austin, who's a top-tier talent, he's that for a reason. He should be consulted. He should be approached with it. Not necessarily given like a Hulk Hogan WCW creative control, but it should be a conversation, not a dictation. And I would agree with that.
But the other thing that you have to look at, Steve Austin was right all along, because look what Brock Lesnar did a year or two later. He left the company just like Steve Austin did.
Exactly.
True.
Exactly.
True.
He pulled the same shit. And really ultimately makes Austin sound like a genius, which he really is.
And at least Stone Cold actually loved the business versus Brock Lesnar, who gave two shits about it.
Yeah, he still hates the business.
Right.
I don't think he hates the business because he likes the money. I think he hates the fans and people like you, Noah, because he tried to run you over with a car.
How many others has he tried to run down in parking lots?
I would like to know the answer to that. I'll hire the same lawyer that's representing Buff Bagwell, and we'll set up a class action lawsuit against Brock Lesnar.
There you go.
I don't know.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. It's your
Well, I was just going to say, I do think that they were kind of just treating Stone Cold at that period of time like he wasn't the dude that basically saved the WWF. You know what I mean?
They treated him like a mid-carder.
I mean, I understand you can't be at the top all the time, but like you said, Noah, you have to consider what he's done for the business, how many asses he's put in those seats before, and for that reason alone, give him at least some creative control. Like, you know, John Cena, he has some creative control. Like, he didn't want to lose.
Don't even necessarily give him creative control. Make him part of the process. Okay.
Yeah.
You don't like this idea, Steve? What do you think we should do?
I mean, here's what
let's maybe meet somewhere in the middle.
Look, this is what it boils down to. By that time, like 2001, 2002, he didn't like the direction of the company. He didn't like WWF changing to WWE. He thought it was stupid. And then on top of it, you got all these Hollywood writers in there, not wrestling fans, fucking booking everything and writing the shows. They could give two shits about Stone Cold Steve Austin because they probably never seen the product. So, I mean, I can understand his frustration. I probably would have done the same thing. I'm the guy who made millions of dollars for this company and turned it around in the fight against WCW. I'm not losing on a fucking unadvertised match on Monday Night Raw. Fuck you. I want my money.
Yeah, and I get that they were trying to build Brock Lesnar up, and he won King of the Ring, and then went on to SummerSlam to win the championship and everything. But why make Stone Cold Steve Austin, of all people? Why try to make Stone Cold just a quick notch in Brock Lesnar's belt? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't at all.
Look how they did the build-up with The Rock and Brock for SummerSlam. They did
exactly.
A vignette package for everything and showing them train for weeks. Why not have Stone Cold and Brock fight at Royal Rumble, Survivor Series, SummerSlam, WrestleMania, any of those?
There's any number of ways you could do it. Honestly,
I mean, that would have been so much money.
Honestly, a Steve Austin versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 19 could have possibly been a much more impactful match than seeing Rock versus Austin again and seeing Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar at 19. I personally would have liked to see Brock and Austin at 19 instead.
They should have just held on. Like, those two should not have crossed paths before King of the Ring or even before SummerSlam, for that matter. Because if they had waited, and then they could have billed it as these two have never had a match before. It's the first time ever. It's Stone fucking Cold Steve Austin and Brock Lesnar, and that is
and
like
just like
money.
Everybody else, Brock Lesnar runs through him and beats him clean, and Brock Lesnar is the man. He's beaten everybody.
And I don't think that Stone Cold would have had a problem with that at that point.
He
did jobs.
He did plenty of jobs.
Yeah.
He did plenty of jobs, but it was a good story.
Austin doesn't mind losing if it's for the right reasons. You're not just going to pin the biggest star in the business to pin the star in the business, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Austin
it would make sense.
Before anything else, before you bring egos into play, Stone Cold Steve Austin is a smart businessman.
And he was willing to do business, which is something that a lot of the people forget to mention. He just didn't want to give it away for free.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that makes sense. So as far as the question goes, like what would happen if he would have stayed, I think the thing that would have made him stay is just not cross paths with Brock Lesnar at that point. And then, you know, like we have been saying, they could have pushed it back and made a shit ton of money.
Yep. Like a lot of money.
Big money.
Anyway, so
I think
those are two topics.
Honestly, it could have been one of the biggest WrestleMania main events of all time.
Yeah, and look at Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar. I mean, I'm not taking anything away from that match, but let's be real here. Kurt Angle was like a foot in the grave during that match, and Brock Lesnar almost killed himself in that match. So, you know, I personally think that fucking Brock Lesnar and Steve Austin would have been a classic at WrestleMania 19.
It would have been awesome. I think that's something that people would look back at today and just be like, okay, that was a great moment in wrestling history whenever those two.
And I don't think it would have been beneficial for Rock to I don't think it was beneficial for Rock to beat Austin at WrestleMania 19 because The Rock was focusing on getting his Hollywood career off the ground. He wasn't just coming up in the wrestling business, and it wasn't a passing of the torch from Steve Austin to The Rock because The Rock was looking at becoming the biggest thing in Hollywood.
Yeah, but when you when you retire, Noah, you go out on your back.
I know that, but going out on his back to The Rock was the wrong move.
Well, The Rock had to face Goldberg the next month, so you know what I mean? A debuting Goldberg. So, you know, you don't want The Rock to have just lost at WrestleMania. I mean, I understand what you're saying, Noah.
I don't think it really even mattered because Triple H buried Goldberg so bad, like nobody even mentioned him fighting The Rock or any of that shit. So I don't think it mattered.
Yeah, I mean, that's true.
Awesome.
But yeah, anyway, so those are two topics. If you have questions you'd like to hear us talk about in depth, in a nerdy way on the late debate, then leave the comments down below and we'll choose some. If we didn't answer it this week, keep trying. We'll probably get to it some year. Anyway, that's all for today's show. So, do you have any plugs? Yeah, well, Mike's obviously plugging Crystal Pepsi.
Go out and buy Crystal Pepsi if you can find it. It's like $40 for a 4-pack on Amazon. So if you can find it locally, good luck.
Cool.
Where can we find you at, Mike?
You can find me on the YouTube at FTWNage, on the Instagram at XMVNagel, and on the Twitter at UltimoNagel, and on the Facebook, don't add me or you'll end up in the spam. Got it?
Oh.
What about you, Noah?
Follow me on Twitter at Noah Donish. Like my official Facebook fan page is facebook.com/official NoahMania. And subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of it. It's called youtube.com/NoahMania. It's quite entertaining. Just going to throw that out there.
I thought it was Poopy Mania from eating bad aiolis.
Fuck you. Fuck you. Eric, what do you got?
Diarrhea Mania?
Diarrhea Mania, okay.
Yeah, follow me on Twitter at EBar Says. Follow my YouTube channel. You're on it right now. Just click subscribe.
Awesome.
It's youtube.com/EBar Says. And like we say every week, we sure love you. Bye bye.
Love you.
Chocolate milk party going on, and you're invited. Aren't you excited? Getting down till the dawn. All night long. Chocolate milk will make you strong, like a vitamin when you're drinking it. It tastes so good on your tongue. You got to mix it up. Mix it up.